Magical coughing force having listens just violently and swept through the area, gasping for air intently. Amidst the rubble, a figure struggles. Verdun reflects on his life's work, the theory of celestial reversal. Clutching his chest, the man known as Verdun, the limit-breaking genius mage, fights to breathe, his body still reeling from the ordeal. He watches as his hand dissolves into dust, chest a side effect of his desperate gamble, his body still reeling from the ordeal. Verdun kneels, shirtless and weary, questioning if his ultimate spell, celestial reversal, truly worked. Suddenly, a bright, ominous light pulses in the distance, catching Verdun's attention and filling him with dread. Magical energy streaks towards him, forming intricate circles in the air, and Verdun's heart pounds as he realizes someone is rapidly approaching. A familiar, enraged face zooms into view. It's the Tower Master, the very man who imprisoned and experimented on Verdun. The Tower Master, staff in hand, demands to know the source of the magic, his form blurring as he closes in on the weakened Verdun. With a surge of power, the Tower Master's hand glows, ready to unleash a devastating attack. A massive explosion of magical energy erupts, engulfing the area where Verdun had been. The Tower Master stands amidst the fading magical dust, his eyes blazing with fury. He spots a fading magic circle, realizing with a shock that Verdun had used a teleportation spell to escape his grasp. Gritting his teeth, the Tower Master seethes, refusing to believe anyone could tamper with his tower and simply run away. He stomps his foot, dark magical energy radiating outwards, declaring that he doesn't care who his target is. Engulfed in a menacing aura, the Tower Master vows revenge, whether it's the Emperor himself or just a puny little kid. His rage explodes, his voice echoing with raw power as he screams his intent. Lightning cracks across the sky, a testament to the Tower Master's wrath, as he promises that Verdun will pay. Meanwhile, Verdun plunges into a body of water, the teleportation spell having worked, but with an unexpected landing. He surfaces, disoriented and shocked, wondering what happened and why his face feels so different. Verdun touches his face, a look of utter bewilderment crossing his features as he tries to understand his new appearance. He notices his hair, once brown, has now transformed into an ash-gray hue. Fumbling with his body, Verdun feels like a completely different person, yet he's certain that his celestial reversal spell succeeded, despite these strange changes. A quick flashback shows his desperate final moments, making contact with the power source, successfully casting celestial reversal, and then using a teleportation spell to escape the Tower Master's clutches. Now, kneeling in a vibrant, unfamiliar forest, Verdun realizes he's never seen these plants before, confirming he's far from the Bohemian magic tower. A triumphant smile spreads across Verdun's face as the full realization hits him. He might have teleported across half the entire continent. He throws his head back and laughs, a genuine, joyful sound of pure freedom, finally escaping his tormentors. Lying back in the grass, Verdun taunts the furious Tower Master in his mind, knowing they won't be able to trace the destruction or his escape. Despite his victory, Verdun sighs, understanding that this act alone won't be enough to bring down the magic tower forever. Back at the tower, the enraged Tower Master stands before the Omnipotent, a pulsating, heart-like magical artifact, the true source of their power. Verdun sits up, his gaze filled with renewed determination, planning to use the tower's reconstruction period to grow stronger and prepare for his ultimate revenge. He holds his hand up to the sun, envisioning a future where he etches his new name, Verdun the Mage, into the annals of history. With a confident clench of his fist and a wide grin, Verdun bids farewell to Bohemian, ready to embark on his new journey. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a different part of the forest where a goblin is crudely chopping wood, its axe striking with rough force. Verdun, now clad in a stylish mage's robe, makes a swift, decisive motion with his hand. The goblin looks up, startled, letting out a confused grunt as it senses danger. With a quick magical slash, Verdun takes down the unsuspecting goblin, his new powers already proving effective. He examines his hand, musing that he doesn't detect any obvious side effects from his body reconstruction. Pulling at his ash-gray hair, Verdun confirms his appearance is mostly the same, save for his hair and eyes, and notes his mana level is now far beyond normal limits. Verdun nudges the fallen goblin with his foot, concluding that the presence of such monsters means there are likely no villages nearby. His attention is drawn to something on the ground, a subtle clue in the dirt. Verdun spots distinct carriage tracks and a dropped crate, deducing that someone was in a hurry and lost their cargo. He activates his mana detection spell, his hand glowing as he scans the abandoned crate. The spell reveals a hidden magic circle on the crate, which then bursts with light, revealing a complex magical device. Elsewhere, a merchant frantically drives his carriage, cursing his luck and wondering how his situation spiraled so badly. He recalls his failed attempt to use Baron Paith's name to talk his way out of trouble. Even the mercenaries he hired had abandoned him, leaving him to fend for himself. A look of terror crosses his face as he remembers the true horror he's fleeing from. He vividly remembers the terrifying smiling orc and other monstrous figures that had ambushed him. He was thankful the bandits were preoccupied fighting the monsters, giving him a chance to escape. The merchant urges his horses onward, dashing through the forest path, desperate to outrun his pursuers. A guttural roar echoes behind him, confirming his worst fears. The monsters are still on his tail. He whips the horses relentlessly, screaming at them to go faster, his voice laced with panic. Suddenly, a loud crack signals disaster as one of the carriage wheels breaks apart. The carriage crashes violently, sending the merchant sprawling onto the ground, unconscious. He slowly regains consciousness, groaning in pain from his injured back. A gasp escapes him as he flinches, realizing he's not alone in the dark forest. Dozens of glowing eyes pierce through the darkness, surrounding him, with one pair of menacing red eyes standing out. Orcs and goblins emerge from the shadows, growling menacingly, and the merchant curses his fate, refusing to die at the hands of filthy demi-humans. A massive orc lunges forward, its sharp claws extended, ready to strike the helpless merchant. The merchant screams, his face contorted in absolute terror as the monster closes in. He winces, closing his eyes, believing his life is truly over. But just as the orc is about to strike, an earth wall erupts from the ground, blocking the monsters and saving the merchant at the last second. Verdun stands triumphantly atop the newly formed wall, looking down at the trapped monsters, then realizes he forgot to leave an air hole for the merchant. The enraged orc turns its glowing red eyes towards Verdun, realizing who its new opponent is. Verdun, poised and confident, decides he'll have to deal with the monsters quickly before the merchant suffocates, noting this will be his first real fight since his rebirth. With a powerful surge, Verdun's hand ignites with fire magic, ready to unleash his talent on the perfect number of opponents. Flames crackle and spread, consuming everything in their path. The forest erupts into a fiery inferno, a testament to the raw power unleashed. From atop a rocky outcrop, Asher surveys the chaos, as the demi-humans below are engulfed by his devastating magic. One massive goblin, however, manages to rise through the flames, letting out a guttural roar. Its monstrous brethren follow suit, their forms still intact despite the scorching heat. With a terrifying shriek, the large goblin charges forward, a formidable opponent. The ground trembles as the horde of goblins advances, their heavy footsteps echoing through the burning woods. They march relentlessly, their eyes fixed on the lone mage. The air fills with their enraged growls, a chorus of impending doom. Asher stands firm, the wind whipping his cloak around him, undeterred by their numbers. The goblins continue their advance, their roars growing louder with each step. He extends his hands, conjuring not just one but multiple flame arrows, empowered by a gust of wind. This is a double cast, a technique that allows Asher to unleash two spells simultaneously. With a surge of power, Asher unleashes a volley of scorching heat arrows. The fiery projectiles fly through the air, each one a miniature sun, hurtling towards the charging monsters. The goblins shriek and hiss as the arrows find their mark, burning them to cinders. Asher reflects on his newfound strength, marveling at how much he's changed since the days he couldn't even defeat a single goblin. The last of the monsters falls, and a gentle rain begins to cleanse the scorched earth. With the immediate threat neutralized, Asher realizes he needs to check on the coachman, Conrad, before he suffocates from the smoke. The carriage continues its journey, its wheels clattering along the path. Conrad, the coachman, beams with gratitude, declaring he'll remember this day for the rest of his life. He profusely thanks Asher, admitting he wouldn't be alive if not for the mage's intervention. Asher lets out a quiet sigh, while Conrad enthusiastically responds to his instructions. Conrad, ever the talker, asks if Asher was hurt, then quickly apologizes, realizing it was a foolish question for someone of Asher's power. Asher, slightly annoyed by the man's incessant chatter, simply groans inwardly. He recalls the brief moment of trouble he faced, a flicker of danger in the otherwise decisive battle. Suddenly, a chilling realization strikes him: one of the monsters is still alive. A shadowy figure lunges from the darkness, but Asher is quicker, conjuring a burst of light magic. With a swift, precise motion, Asher slices through the monster, ending its threat once and for all. A small, satisfied smile plays on Asher's lips as he looks up, the battle finally over. Asher asks Conrad if bandit attacks are common in this area, to which Conrad replies that they usually avoid places with demi-humans. Conrad explains that this forest falls under the Paith barony, and he has a long-standing relationship with Baron Paith himself. He further elaborates that Baron Paith had assured him the bandits in the area had been completely wiped out. This assurance led Conrad to hire cheaper mercenaries, only for them to tragically run into the very bandits they were told were gone. Later, while soaking in a bath, Asher muses on the need to keep his true identity hidden and focus on growing stronger. Conrad's voice breaks through Asher's thoughts, asking if he's still listening, prompting Asher to realize he hasn't properly introduced himself. A subtle grin forms on Asher's face as he decides that from now on, he will no longer use the name Verdun. The grand gates of Baron Paith's castle stand majestically under the night sky, a murmur of activity within its walls. Baron Paith Henrode himself looks utterly shocked upon seeing Conrad, his face etched with concern. Conrad, ever the jester, scratches his head and laughs, claiming he lost weight running from the orcs. Baron Paith apologizes for his oversight and asks if Conrad was hurt, but Conrad reassures him it's not his fault. Recognizing Asher as the mage who saved his dear friend, Baron Paith declares that such a savior cannot go unrewarded. He instructs his attendants to invite Asher into the castle, extending his hospitality. Asher bows respectfully, expressing his gratitude for the food, clothes, and a comfortable room provided. Baron Paith, with a warm smile, welcomes Asher to his home. He formally introduces himself as Paith Henrode, the lord of the Paith barony, and invites Asher to take a seat at the dinner table. Baron Paith asks Asher if the food is to his liking, and Asher confirms it's excellent. As a token of his appreciation for saving Conrad, Baron Paith offers Asher a staggering 5 million elks. Then, rather suddenly, the Baron offers Asher a job, promising handsome payment. Asher, needing money for his goals and seeing an opportunity for combat experience, asks for more details about the job. Baron Paith reveals a grim discovery: the bodies of villagers from a ransacked village found hanging in the southern forest. The problem, he explains, is that despite a thorough search of the entire barony, no trace of the culprits has been found. Asher suggests the possibility of a mage among the bandits, to which the Baron agrees it's speculation, then asks when Asher plans to hunt them down. Baron Paith offers a confident smile, clearly pleased with Asher's willingness to help. The Baron announces the hunt will commence in 4 days, as knights prepare to depart from the castle. Enoch, one of Baron Paith's knights and the commander of the operation, introduces himself to Asher. He then introduces his fellow knights, Hears and the younger Ferric, who both bow respectfully to Asher. Asher shakes Enoch's hand, returning the greeting and introducing himself simply as Asher. He reflects on accepting the job for various reasons, but admits he didn't anticipate being thrown into a bandit hunt so quickly. Baron Paith suggests it's best to handle things swiftly, while Asher internally decides to view this as repayment for the Baron's hospitality. Asher inquires if the adventurers gathered nearby will be joining them, but Enoch clarifies they are there for reports of strange orcs. Asher deduces that the pay for this strange orc investigation must be quite high, given the presence of a gold-rank adventurer. He recalls that gold-rank adventurers are as strong as average knights, hardened veterans who wield kai in combat. Asher and the knights proceed through the dense forest, their footsteps crunching on the fallen leaves. Enoch turns to Asher, entrusting him with handling any mages among the bandits, prompting Asher to ask for the reasoning behind this decision. Enoch explains that while a second-tier mage's combat ability is similar to a knight's, their ranged attacks make them difficult for knights to counter. Suddenly, Enoch halts, his eyes widening as he realizes they've stumbled upon a magic circle right ahead.